He subsequently escaped while in hospital. Here's more details of that in this report.
Former prison officer at the Maltu Central Prison was arrested, detained and dismissed for charges of negligence in the escape of Abdoulaye Cissé, former manager of Taranga FM, during a hospital appointment while in custody. This was the testimony of Ibrahim Njai before the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission on Wednesday. Journalist Abdoulaye Cissé was arrested in 2015 and charged with sedition. He was refused bail and denied family visit, during which he was tortured and hospitalized. Cissé, who pleaded not guilty to the charges and denied any wrongdoing, escaped from hospital on April 2016. However, Cissé was convicted in absentia to 2 years in prison and a fine of $200,000 for 3 counts of sedition and spreading false news on November 2016. TRRC witness recalled that he got arrested the very day that the detainee escaped. Then he was taken to Remand Wing, where he spent a night before he underwent interrogation before the then Deputy General of Gambia Prison Service.
When we left, we stayed there checking around until around 4.
Is that in the afternoon?
At night.
In the morning?
We were there till 4 to 5. That was the time we decided that, well, we cannot see him. Now let's walk and go back to mile 2.
Was this an offense under the Prisons Act? So it was an offense?
At the prison, any prison officer, if an inmate escapes, well, that's what we will expect. Well, that's how we saw it.
Carry on. As you walked towards mile 2, what happened?
We walked until we were almost close to Gambia High School. When we saw a vehicle coming towards us from mile 2, then we knew that these people are our officers, and they were led by Chief Kalilu Saleh. And when they reached, when we met, that's where they arrested us. That's where they made us board the vehicle, and we were handcuffed. And we were taken to Joshua.
Njai testified that he was denied all forms of privileges and rights that should have been accordance to a detainee on a normal circumstance.
It went up to the level that if they wanted to send you to a certain place for posting, they will ask you what tribe you are.
And at that point, who was the director of the prisons?
Director of prisons.
David Colley. David Colley.
And what tribe was he?
Jolala. He's a Jola.
And you've mentioned Yaya Jaju, and he's obviously a Jola too.
Yes, he's also a Jola.
What about the other senior officers at the prisons? What tribes were there?
Half the Jola and senior officers very Jola. Half of them were Jola, and most of the senior officers there, in fact, are Jola.
The testimony of the former prison officer forms part of TRRC's intention on the conditions of the prisons in the Gambia, which is intended to bring about justice for victims of human rights violation for the 22 years of former government under Yahya Jammeh. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Aissatou Tamba.
And from the report filed in by Aissatou Tamba, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of these stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, barely 5 months after the dismissal and suspension of the petitioners at the Food Safety and Quality Assurance Authority, the country's vice president has said that the affected staff have all been reinstated. She assured lawmakers on Wednesday that the petitioners will not be haunted for their activism in the past. Details of that in this report by Julden Yaesware.
The Vice President of the Gambia has said that the government has, after thorough review and consultations, decided to reinstate the 25 staff of the Food Safety and Quality Authority. Dr. Aissatou Toure was responding to questions from members of the National Assembly on the dismissal and suspension of the staff under the leadership of former Director General of the authority. In 2019, a greater percentage of the authority's staff petitioned their boss, alleging nepotism, abuse of office, and corruption. An independent panel instituted by the board members who have initially been tackled around the issue could not produce immediate solution to the crisis at the Food Safety Office.
During this entire period, from October 2019 to date, most of the staff were involved in organized meetings inside and outside the office premises, within and outside the working premises, within and outside working hours, and conspired to synchronize stories and claims, but more critically, refused to carry out any orders or instructions from the supervisors and management, and also subjected the other staff to harassment and insults, and even labeled senior management as enablers who will be dealt with once they achieve their objectives of getting the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority dismissed.
She said the petitioners were dismissed because they violated the law governing the civil servants by refusing to comply with the posting orders and by refusing to go without the resolution of the petition.
Code of Conduct, Manual Section 6.11, refusal to comply. Conduct. Finally, the staff were given formal last, then issued posting orders for which they refused to comply. After 3 months of refusal to work or comply with legal instruments, they were placed on administrative leave without pay until they claim their petition is resolved in their favor. The said parties organized and held an unauthorized press conference at the grounds of the authority in which they repeated their litany of false allegations and innuendos and continued to operate with impunity and arrogance in total disregard of the service rules and government orders.
Asked whether the government will not issue disciplinary measures against the director, Madame Toure responded that what has passed will remain in the past. She pointed out that it was better for them to look at the gaps in institutions and for people to be brave enough to accept some of the prevailing challenges to be able to work forward with them rather than the employment of litigations. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Yaesware.
And from the report there, next we head to Ghana, where final year students in the country are now allowed to go back to schools to prepare ahead of their final year exams or examinations. All public meeting centers were closed, including learning institutions, as part of measures to cope the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Students are gradually adopting the new learning system as government provided protective and sanitary materials in all schools as safety measures. Here is more details of that in this report.
This is the new normal as schools reopen in Ghana amid the coronavirus pandemic. Only final year high school students are resuming school, while those in lower classes and the primary level remain at home. These students have to go through the COVID-19 in their hands and also wearing face masks. The government has made it compulsory for all schools to adhere to these safety precautions. At the Ghana-Lebanon Islamic School, teachers are educating students on how to prevent the spread of the virus.
We realize that with the students it's a bit discomforting. And we can also see that it's like some of the students when they were home, this is not something that they were adhering to. Because we realize that some of them are finding so much difficulty in adjusting put it. But we made it. We told them that it's mandatory.
The final year high school students will take classes for the next 6 weeks to prepare for their examination. The usual morning assembly of all students before the start of classes has been banned to prevent any spread of COVID-19. The government has also tasked school authorities with enforcing physical distancing among the students on campuses. Ghana's infection of COVID-19 is still rising after relaxing the lockdown restrictions. Some students are concerned about the possible spread of the virus in schools.
We will be scared, but then we know that if we follow the measures and the protocols that has been claimed by the World Health Organization, I'm sure that there is a better chance that we are not going to be affected with it.
Still, school authorities say they have to prepare adequately for any suspected case of COVID-19.
We have a clinic, and the GS has also advised that we should have an isolation room, which we have already. That is oblivious of the clinic, because it could happen that somebody has shown some symptoms, but there are some patients or some people having maybe asthma or malaria in the clinic, and they don't have to be put in the same list. So we have an isolation room prepared towards that.
The government says it will provide personal protection equipment to help schools fight against COVID-19. For now, it has started with the distribution of free reusable face masks to students.
And from that report there in Accra, Ghana, finally we head to South Africa, where South African authorities are doing more assessment on mechanism put in place at airports before the reopening for normal operations. Since the outbreak of the coronavirus global pandemic, the aviation industry was adversely affected, but airport managements are working on to help passengers to adapt to the new system. Authorities say they will fast-track their reopening process to allow all airports to get back to business. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Transport Minister Fikile Mbulula was at Lanseria International Airport, evaluating what the management team and staff had achieved prior to opening.
And I'm happy to come back here and see that everything is in order, CEO. I'm very happy. And I think that order will be maintained. Even if it is private, but you even have a more onerous responsibility to make this place better and obedient and comply with the regulations.
We had a few challenges there and there where passengers actually, because some of them are used to our infrastructure, used to the facility, so they expected things to be the same as before. For example, the drop-off and pick-up areas have been cordoned off or closed. And therefore, there was a bit of a confusion accessing the new drop-off areas.
The airport management and staff have pulled out all the stops to get ready. In level 3, only business travellers are allowed to travel, and they have trickled in.
Probably about 10%. As you would have picked up or know, that it's only Safair, Fly Safair, that's operating at the moment. Mango has decided not to launch any of the flights out of Lanseria. In fact, they had advisors previously that they will be pulling out of Lanseria. And then Come, Kulula, which is the brand that's operating from Lanseria. Come is under business rescue.
While the first 4 airports are up and running, the smaller airports in the country will most likely only open in level 2 lockdown.
We need to ensure that all airports are able to follow the requirement. The opening is going to move faster. It's going to move faster. We don't want to delay that particular process. We need to work flat out to ensure that all the other airports open up so that we are able to be in operation.
The Southern African aviation industry is in crisis, and everyone is wondering what the government is going to do to try and alleviate some of the pain that these organizations in the private sector and the public sector are going through.
That report there in South Africa finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But as ever, for more details on this and other stories, you can also log on our website on iafrica.tv. Well, once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company, and of course, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.